Security continues sending flights of migrants to Guantanamo Bay, new questions have risen about the identities of those detainees. A new investigative report from the Washington Post details the reality of who the administration claims is being sent to that infamous detention facility. Joining us now, one of the reporters behind that piece, national investigative reporter for the Washington Post, Sylvia Foster-Frau. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So what have you found? First of all, just give us some numbers here. How many of these migrants are being sent to Guantanamo? What justification is the Trump administration offering for doing so? What have you found in terms of what these people have actually done?
Yeah, so as of Friday, we know there were at least 126 migrants that had been sent to Guantanamo from the United States. And they are being housed both in the military detention that was used for former terrorism suspects and also the Migrant Operations Center, which was used for migrants interdicted at sea. It was usually a very small number. And what the administration has been saying and giving this impression of is that these are criminals. These are people who have ties or members of Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang, and that they need to be removed from our communities, removed from the violence that they're causing in our communities. But what our reporting found was that the migrants that we spoke to did not quite fit those descriptions. We spoke to several family members of several migrants, and then scoured court records and even requested certificates from Venezuela that showed their delinquency. And what we found is that nearly all of them had no criminal record, and that we could not find any ties that were confirmed to Tren de Aragua. And so it really kind of upended this narrative that we've been given that a lot of these migrants that are being sent there are criminals that have been committing violent acts in the streets. We also found that nearly all of them that we spoke to had been detained as soon as they crossed the border. And so they were not even in American communities to be causing that kind of disruption to begin with.
Sylvia, Elise Jordan here. What did you hear from officials about how long these detainees can expect to be held at Guantanamo Bay? Did they give you any sense of what kind of process will adjudicate their holding?
So the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, said that they wouldn't be there for long and that they would be going through the usual immigration process, but we really don't know what that means. I mean, they've been there now for over a week, and we're not really sure what exactly those plans are for deportation. So I think that's part of a lot of the unknown that surrounds this entire operation.
So, Sylvia, what is the Trump administration saying in response to the reporting here when questions about those who are detained? Because we've heard the rhetoric has been that right now, anyway, the focus is supposed to be, per the administration, just on migrants who have committed violent crimes. Those are the ones who are being sent out, including to Guantanamo. What are they saying in response to reporting that that's not the case?
You know, for one migrant in particular, Alberto Castillo, they stood by their statement that he was a member of Tren de Aragua, even though when we spoke to family members and tried to find any kind of records of that, we could not find it. But they said that basically they've been using a variety of factors to determine people's membership to Tren de Aragua. And it was very unclear basically what those factors were. A lot of those migrants have tattoos, and their family members said that the migrants had told them that they thought that their tattoos were a reason for their detainment and for the suspicion. And there's actually been a history of that. We know that under the previous Trump administration, a very similar playbook was used with MS-13. Now it's Tren de Aragua, before it was MS-13. And it was a similar thing where a lot of detainees and their families were saying that it was tattoos that were kind of like gang-style tattoos that were leading officials to believe that they were members of that gang.
The new reporting is online now. The Washington Post's Sylvia Foster-Frau. Sylvia, thank you for joining us